So now we're going to learn about SVGs. And the reason you care about SVGs is because they are small in size and they're crisp in resolution. And so if you use, there's two types of graphics. There are Bitmap Graphics, also known as Raster. Raster Graphics. Raster. So Raster Graphic is made up from pixels. And it's like each pixel has a color. And it's also like mapping bits. So you're mapping bits to each pixel, bitmap. So that's a raster graphic. PNG, JPEG, those are examples of raster graphics. And raster graphics are great when you have shades of color, gradations in color. Because you could change those pixel to pixel basis, changes in color. And so that's really good for, you know, like this, right? Like this eye. Like that eye right there. Wonderful. Lots of changes in color. And if we zoom in on that eye, we start to see the pixelization. We start to see the little dots pixelating. So you absolutely want to use, this isn't a treaty against using raster bitmap graphics. You absolutely want to use raster bitmap graphics, right? But that's going to be your biggest spend in terms of size when you build a web page. That's your biggest spend. It's like we're going to put up a big hero image and it's going to be 500, 600 kilobytes, and that's the rest of our website will be 40 kilobytes because that's just the code. But this is where the size for our website comes, this big image. And so, I don't know, Airbnb, what's their page look like now? They usually have a fair amount of raster, bitmap, JPEG, PNG images. Different looking page. They've changed it up. They've got their experiences now. Just booked. See, these are experiences. Meet the funniest guy in the museum. So they have homes and they have experiences. Pretty awesome. Pretty amazing. So you absolutely want to use raster bitmaps. Now vector graphics are great for icons. So let's go back to, and other things where, you know, making Airbnb pay money to Google right now. So I'm looking for a graphic right here. I've clicked their ad twice. There's a graphic. That's a vector graphic if they've done this right. Right? And if we inspect that, SVG. Okay? Viewbox 00, 1000, 1000. And then there's the code for that. And so an SVG is just a bunch of code points. It's mathematical graphing, which can be scaled. That's why it's called scalable vector graphic. Scalable, it could be small, it could be huge. You lose no resolution. The computer just redraws the image. Vector, meaning it's points, like from one point to another point, like vectors in math. Graphic, it's a scalable vector graphic. And so the great thing about that, that's really small. That's not much stuff to send over to somebody's browser. And I can make this as big as I want, and it's always going to be crisp and clear. So scalable vector graphics are great. How do you start working with them? The best and easiest place to start working with them is Font Awesome, in my opinion. And so you just Google Font Awesome cheat sheet. And you go to the Font Awesome cheat sheet, and there's a whole bunch of different logos and icons that you can use here. For instance, I just used the heart the other day to create a logo for the course I'm creating. And the logo I created not there. The logo I created is right here. Well, that's not the one I created. But that's kind of cool. Here's one I created. Right, it works. You don't get those gradations in color, but it's sharp, it's crisp, it's clear no matter what size it's at. Now that's actually been converted to PNG, so it's no longer SVG. So anyhow, let's say I wanted to recreate that. I could grab the heart, copy the heart. First thing I want to make sure is I install Font Awesome on my computer. So let's do that first. I skipped that part. So I download this, and I could get this extra one where they have other icons I could use, or I could just get Font Awesome, their free one. And I pop this open, and I go into Fonts, and I want to go for, there's different fonts that I could use here, and you could choose any of these, but I have a little code deal which is going to help you out. And that code deal is understanding fonts, SVG, about fonts. So we have TrueType fonts, which are Windows. We have OpenType, which are Mac and Windows. We have Web Open Font Format. It's a World Wide Web Consortium recommendation. It's clearly the future of font formats. And then Scalable Vector fonts. So we want to use OTF or WAF. Those are the newer ones. So it's asking me to install here, and I've got a WAF and a WAF2 or an OTF. Since I have a WAF and a WAF2, I'm just going to go with OTF. And so I double click that. Doesn't matter if you're on Windows or Mac, and I just choose Install Font. And now that font's available on my machine to use. Okay, and I already have it on my machine, so I don't have to go get it. Now that I have it on my machine, I could go to Cheat Sheet, Font Awesome Cheat Sheet, and I could grab any of these icons, fire extinguisher, Command C, go into Adobe Illustrator, New, points, picas, inches, pixels. So 1,000, 1,000 by 1,000. And colors, CMYK, RGB, leave it at CMYK. And maybe I should have done RGB. So there it is, and then I change the font here, and I choose Font Awesome. So there's my fire extinguisher. And I could go to File, Document Setup, I think it is, and Edit Artboards, and then put on these grids. There we go. And I kind of want to always make all of my fonts right to about the same size. So I don't want to bring them right to the edge, but like, you know, just every one of my fonts, like always make it, just choose some scale and always make it 1,000 by 1,000 or something, and have your font be on that size, or 100 by 100. But you saw Airbnb had the 1,000 by 1,000 artboard, so that's mine. And so now that I have that, I could take that and I could put it into Photoshop if I wanted. So I could go to Photoshop, I could select this. It's kind of hard to see with all the crap around. Why is there all that extraneous crap? No say. You know, Control A, Control C, and then start Photoshop. Bring it over as a smart object, which will keep it as a SVG, so I could change its size. And put it in the middle. Maybe change its color. I don't know why I can't select it. Oh well. So that's the start of SVGs. Next thing you want to do is get your SVG code. So you go File, Save As. You can choose SVG. You don't want compressed. You just do SVG. I'm going to save that to my desktop. So that's right there. And now export web optimized SVG and other formats. Try export for screens. So choose SVG 1.1, but none of that other stuff. And type SVG. And use system fonts. I could convert everything to a glyph if I wanted, if I had text in there. And image location, embed, and more options, style elements, CSS style elements, decimal places, encoding, output fewer T-span, use text path, responsive, include, hit OK. So on my desktop, I should now have that SVG code. And if I open that, Command C, just go here to WebStorm, and I'll go up here to just looking for use. Alright, so here I have a SVG version 1.1, XMLS. So I'm going to just copy this code, hi Jim, and I'll create a new page, HTML file, index. And then on this index page, I'll also put here, I'll paste in that SVG. There's the untitled SVG. So there's the SVG code. So I'm going to copy that and then come back to my index page and just put it here for a second. And then look at this code here because I haven't done it in a while. So begin SVG definitions. And I have the SVG version. So I'm going to bring this down. So I don't need all this extra code that Adobe Illustrator generated. I don't need that. I don't need that. I do want version. I don't need ID layer. I do want XMLNS, and I don't need this. I don't need X, Y. I am going to need the view box, but I don't need style. Enable background. I don't think that this has style. Display none. And then style text. I don't need my style. And then I have my code points there. I think that's, I'm not sure if that's right. I could take my classes out, and it actually has the font there. See, now it's not showing up. So it did it as text. So I need to save that again and save it differently. So let me try that again. File, save as, SVG to my desktop, replace, and then right here, SVG subsetting, only glyphs instead. Let's see if that does it. SVG code. See, that's what we're looking for right there. Is that code right there. So let's see if it's right this time. Use glyphs instead. Copy that. Paste it in. Overwrite. So that looks better. So copy all this. Come here, paste it in. I'm going to need that code and symbol. Alright, so SVG version 1, XMLNS 2000 SVG, style displayed none, that's fine. And then viewbox, I want to keep that. And the viewbox is these weird numbers. My viewbox should have come out 1,000, 1,000. I don't know why that's funny. So I messed up something there. I used to do them 100 and 100 and just keep them all the same. But it's been a little time since I've done this. So that's good. I don't need my style. And I don't need the font stuff, font face, missing glyph, glyph Unicode, font, text transform. Well, this is kind of like dying for me. So let's look at the examples and then see if we can work our way up to this. Why is it not saving out with path equals D? We have glyph Unicode, but not path. I need path. So let's see what we could do to get path. File, save as, SVG, place. So we did none, use system fonts, common English, all glyphs, only glyphs use all glyphs, image location, embed, style elements, presentation elements, style attributes. See what that code looks like. Glyph Unicode. That doesn't look right. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. It's going to be the mass introduction to SVGs. So I'm going to get rid of those two. All right. I'll continue this in the next video. This video is already